Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ordinary Podcast, where we explore real journeys, honest struggles, and everyday success stories. It's just me, Jalp, hosting this week's episode, but we got a special one for you today. My friend Mahiman recently hit a huge milestone 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's been creating content for years, and watching his dedication pay off has been incredibly inspiring. What makes this conversation extra meaningful to me is that Maimon was the one who pushed me to start this very podcast. So today, I want to dive into what drives him, the ups and downs of growing on YouTube, and the mindset that has helped him reach this point. So let's jump right in. So as you guys know, this weekend was the Super Bowl, and Eagles and the Chiefs played. So that's why we are doing this episode on a Monday. Sorry about that. Maimon, how was the Super Bowl for you?
Man, it was pretty boring. I did not like the halftime show at all because I'm a Drake fan, so it
Yeah,
wasn't nice seeing Kendrick. But I just want to say thank you for having me on the show, and it's gonna be awesome talking to you.
yeah. And like as I mentioned in the introduction, like when I was first thinking about starting the podcast, you were the first person I kind of called, and we kind of had that conversation where you kind of told me like, hey, you should just do it. Like, stop thinking about what people are gonna think. Stop thinking about what anyone's going to say or what's going to happen. You should just start. So I really appreciate that about you. And that kind of gets me to my first question is like, when you first started this YouTube channel, what kind of drove you or what kind of inspired you to start your YouTube channel? And maybe could you also give a background about like what you talk about on your YouTube and stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. So before I even get to the story, I'll give you a rough breakdown of the channel. So I started this channel 2 years ago, and it focuses on artificial intelligence. Now, we all know that this is a topic that has been a topic that a lot of people have been talking about throughout the world. A lot of people, as well as businesses, are trying to incorporate this new technology because it can rapidly increase efficiency, as well as how effective it is for businesses to improve their ROI by implementing it. Now, this is not something that only businesses benefit from, but it's also regular users like us who can definitely use it to help us as having AI as our personal assistant or having chatbots to assist us with question answering. So I thought that would be a great idea to get started by educating people on this topic of AI, as it's something that's fairly new and a lot of people probably know about it. So I thought it would be pretty cool to maybe get started and showcase how you can maybe educate people to get started with AI. Now, someone like me who actually was aspiring to be a YouTuber a long time ago, I actually had a YouTube channel that was around revolving around gaming. And at that time, it wasn't super successful, but it was actually a dream I had a long time ago as a kid. And surprisingly, I was able to start this YouTube channel and it fulfilled my dream of becoming a YouTuber. And it's something that I do full time now. So it's astonishing.
Yeah, like I remember when we were doing like our Thanksgiving hangout and then we were kind of doing that slideshow presentation. You shared your first YouTube video where you were like a little kid, you have like a high pitched
I
like a high pitched
was a little
voice.
kid.
Yeah, and you're talking about I think Pokemon or
Yeah,
something.
Pokemon.
Pokemon, right? So I think like it's kind of amazing to see like YouTube was part of your journey, but we didn't know like when it's gonna become like an actual career or
Yeah,
something.
100%.
So like I know you during that Thanksgiving night you kind of explained like okay where you were and why you started this YouTube. Like what was the driving force behind starting this channel and like creating these videos?
Yes. So this is actually something like as I talked to you a long time ago about YouTube was something that was like a dream. It was kind of far-fetched. It didn't seem something that was achievable. And obviously, I laid down on that thought of becoming a YouTuber when after I graduated university. Uh, in university, I actually had a pretty rough time, as you may know. So I'll just give you a rough breakdown of what happened. So everything was going good after high school. I was admitted to a pretty good school and I was focusing on getting an accounting degree where I was striving towards getting a CPA. And this is essentially a certification for you to practice accounting in our nation. So I was striving to get that because I was trying to achieve the same sort of success that my dad achieved with his CPA. and I was eventually going to take over the family business. But deep down in my heart, I didn't really want to do that because I knew that doing accounting didn't really make me happy. It's something that I didn't have a passion for, and it's something that I didn't really want to do because it was something that kind of was a little bit forced down to me. And eventually, I did admit into the school and started taking accounting courses. And something pretty rough happened. In the summer of my first year, I decided to take a couple of extra courses to fast forward my progress in school so that I would have a lighter course load in the next year, in my second year. So, in that moment, I took around two courses in the summer. And at that time, my dad had actually booked a travel plan for
Yeah.
me to go visit Paris, and I actually had exams that same time that we were traveling, and I actually had to defer my exam, and that really was like one of the craziest points in my life because of me deferring it, I actually took the exam, I passed the course, but there was further investigation on that clinic that had given me the medical report to defer the exam, and they basically found out that I didn't actually get actual medical I would say disclosure of the exam. It was more of a way for me to get out of the exam so that I could go on my travel or my vacation. And that led me to go on probation for 1 year. So that would basically push my whole graduation to 2023 or 2024. So I was stressing at that time. Nothing was going my way. And on top of that, as you may know, we were dealing with a lot of other relationship things. So I was at a really low point in my life. Nothing was really going my way. I wasn't earning anything. I didn't have any internships. I saw all of my friends landing crazy internships at like the Big Four, landing at EY, starting their path in their career to maybe land a pretty big IB job in investment banking. And I was at such a low point where I would just view other people succeeding in their journey. And there was me laying on my bed, waking up late, not doing anything. And that was like a low point in my life where I knew that it can't get worse than this, but it would just keep on getting worse and worse with the relationship and then obviously with the school stuff. So then I decided that I thought it'd be better for me to actually take a break. Rather than going on probation, I should just switch over to another program at the school so that I can easily get started. And that was essentially the thing that I ended up doing, where I switched over to another program and I rapidly finished off my accounting courses so then I can graduate quicker. Because at that point, my goal was I can't just stop. I can't just lay around. I can't wait for 1 year and not do anything. I need to get off my horse and get to work. And eventually, I ended up graduating with that accounting degree, even though I didn't like it. And then obviously, I didn't get the right work experience after that failure of a year. I didn't get any internships. So I was still at a bad point. And we all know that the job market wasn't the best in the last 2 years, even still now, and I wasn't able to land anything. So nothing was going my way for a long time. I obviously was looking towards some side hustles. It wouldn't push the weight up that I can basically rely on to be my full time position, but I ended up finding out a couple of different things. I would try out new things. And luckily, I ended up going back to a passion that I had, which was video creation. And like I told you at the start, the buzz around AI was something that I really wanted to focus on. And it was something that maybe could become something not for just making money, but something out of passion that I had as a kid. So I ended up taking the path of starting to make YouTube videos. And luckily, it just blew up over the past 2 years because of the craze around AI.
Yeah, and like one thing funny about me and Maymun's relationship is that I think our lives are like very similar. Like whenever I'm down bad, you're at the same time you're also going through something similar. Like when you were dealing with your relationship thing, I was dealing with
Right.
mine, and so I've always had you as someone that we can rely on each other, we can talk with each other, and kind
Yeah,
of
we
get
always
through
had
it
a
together.
shoulder.
Yeah, we always had someone to lean on and someone to go through. And even when you were dealing with the job market, I remember me and you, same thing, like dealing with the same problem at the same time. So I know like you were at this low point and like me being there, I kind of witnessed how you took this opportunity when you were like going through something and turned it into something very successful. But putting a video out there talking about AI, and like as you mentioned, you have an accounting background, so obviously AI and everything was new to you. So were you ever kind of like hesitant or nervous about putting yourself out there, especially online?
I'll be honest, I didn't really face any sort of like I wasn't really feeling nervous or anything. But deep down I didn't have anything going my way. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to get started from. So I was really confident to try out new things because I know that I didn't have anything going my way. So it's the only way up is by doing something else and learning or trying out something new.
Yeah, it's kind of like you had nothing to lose, but everything to
Yeah,
gain.
nothing to
Right.
lose.
Yeah, so that's a good mindset to put it. And like one thing I remember you telling me, or like one thing I struggled with when starting this podcast was like I was afraid about what people would think about my content. I was afraid of like, would I even sound good? Do I have the skills necessary to run a podcast? And you gave me some really good advice. I don't know if you remember it, but you told me like, okay, you just got to start. You're not gonna be perfect. Even you now, like even though you're like I think you're close to 300 videos. Is that correct, or more than that?
I think a little bit more, like 600.
Okay, double, not a little bit more, like double 600 videos, right? So as you're like your 600 videos in, like, can you tell us about your first video? Like, what was that experience like?
Yeah, definitely. So if you actually take a look at my first video and compare it to my latest video, you'll definitely notice that there is a lot of different things. I start off with a pretty weak mic. It wasn't a good quality mic, and I didn't really have any edits in the videos. So it was pretty low quality, but I was managing to put out decent videos that would get a lot of viewers in. And over the couple of like past few months, I've been trying my best. Every single month I would have guideline to keep on improving my videos. So I would keep asking myself a couple of questions. What could I do to actually make the videos even better? Is there anything that I can make it a bit more entertaining or grab a lot of attention at the start of the video? Because that's a pretty key iconic thing for the YouTube algorithm. If you are to hook in a viewer within the first 3 minutes, your algorithm is going to push out the videos a lot more. So there's a lot of different things that you would have to do to basically harness the success for that algorithm to basically give you more views. So you would want to strategically focus on a lot of these small things. And that's something that I eventually picked on after my first, I would say 50 views or 50 videos, sorry. And over that process, I was able to obviously improve by asking myself, what could I do to improve on certain sections of the video?
Okay, that's fair. Like always having that improving mindset. Is there any other advice you would kind of give yourself if you were starting out? Like, what would you say to yourself like 2, 3 years ago?
Yeah, I would basically, uh, aside from like this YouTube stuff, like maybe going back to like that university tough time, I would go back to the quote that I found from Meditations, which is by Marcus Aurelius. This is something that we both practice, Stoicism, and the quote basically is that you have the power over your own mind, not outside events. And once you realize this, you're gonna find your true strength. Because in this day and age, we tend to view outside content, and we tend to basically use that content to uh, like how it basically manipulates how we actually think. If you think about it, you go on social media, you feel like crap after looking at a couple of stories because you see other people living their lives. It's nothing about jealousy, but it's just like the mindset that you are put into after viewing these different types of stories or seeing other people live their lives. And that brings me to another point. You have your own timeline. This is something that many people don't actually realize. You tend to compare yourself with other people, and this is actually something that is a really, really poor mindset because it's going to set you back pretty far. It's going to demotivate you, and it's going to not allow you to actually harness your true potential. And this is why I always try to tell other people, obviously younger people, that you should not waste your time in thinking about what has not happened. You want to think in the present, You don't want to think about what other people are thinking. You want to just think about yourself. You want to be a little bit more selfish in the way you think, because this is something that will help you push yourself to the next level. If you keep thinking about other people, allowing other thoughts to get into your head, you're not going to be able to push forward for yourself.
Mhm. And I think that's exactly what you told me when I was kind of hesitant about starting this podcast. Because similarly, like a lot of people, in my head, I'm like, I was overthinking it. I was afraid about putting myself out there
Right.
and everything. And even like, I think in our life, like even when it comes to like the timeline aspect, when we have conversations about relationships or where people
Hmm.
are in their life, career moves and stuff, it's natural for us to always compare what other people are
Yeah,
doing and
100%.
see like where we are. But
We
like,
used to do that a lot.
yeah, and I think like we both of us have like taken the time to work on that and try to stop comparing ourselves with other people.
Yeah, for sure. And like if you think about it, your happiness of your life truly depends on the quality of your thoughts. If you have good thoughts, you're definitely going to be happy. You even told me a quote recently. What was the quote? You feel good, eat good.
Yeah.
I
I
forgot.
mean, it's like my motto is basically look good, feel good, do good. Right. So some, but like that one is kind of like an external perspective where sometimes in order for you to build confidence, you have to look the part. And how can you look the part truly is not just like putting on good clothes. It's about what you feel your thoughts, what you feel your body with and everything. So if you are like looking good internally and externally, you're going to feel good about yourself. And once you feel good about yourself, you're going to be able to perform and be more confident. So you're going to be able to do good work. Like that's like the
Yeah,
mindset I
and
try to keep.
overall that basically helps you to have like good quality thoughts, and it's going to basically elevate your daily life of how you think and how you feel.
Exactly. So I know like building a YouTube channel, number one, is not easy. And posting one video is already hard enough, but getting to 600 videos is actually insane. But the biggest milestone that, you hit recently is hitting that 100K subscribers, which is definitely a hard task. And I want to congratulate you once
Thank you
again.
so much, Joe.
And like I'm really proud of you. And like one thing I want to know is that when you were trying to get that 100K subscribers, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced along the way?
Well, I just want to say thank you, Job. You actually helped me out a lot. You actually supported me, and without my friends and family, I would definitely not be here. But a couple of challenges I definitely had was staying consistent and like being on the path to upload every single day is definitely something that is truly hard because you need to keep on thinking about new topics. You need to make sure you plan out your sponsorships, make sure you are constantly working with your partners to deliver on certain contracts. And essentially, the main, I would say, problem I actually had was being consistent at first. Having a daily schedule of uploading every single day was definitely something that was really hard, but I had to actually have a strong mindset where I was making sure that I followed through with my daily goals. I would actually write down what I need to do throughout the day. And this is something that I still do, not just writing down my own goals, but what I want to do on a daily basis. So, whether that's going for a walk, making sure I go to the gym, eating healthy, making sure I upload a video. And essentially, when I am writing these goals down, it actually helps me on achieving it because subconsciously I keep on thinking about it after I write down these goals throughout the day, because it basically reminds me that I have to do something throughout the day, as it's something that I had written down at the start of the day. And eventually, I got to a point where I was able to consistently post a video every single day. And now it comes to a point where I even post 2 times a day if there is a pretty hot topic. But after posting every single day, it became like a routine. And there's actually studies on this where if you are to religiously focus on doing something for 30 days, it could become a routine for you. And if you are to keep on being consistent with what you want to do, you're going to be easily able to accomplish that task or that goal that you have.
Mhm. So I think you mentioned like consistency was something you kind of struggled with, um, you know, and like I think I mentioned this in previous episodes. Is that one thing that I really admired about you was that you were able to say no to things, and I think that's a really important skill to have, because especially if you're working towards your goals, there are going to be opportunities or there are going to be distractions that you're going to have to say no to make time for the things you have to do.
Right.
Right. Like, I think as a friend group, sometimes we joke about like, oh, my wind's not going to come. He's probably making a video, or he's going to be late. He's going to make a video. So, like, even though we say that as a joke, we all like, at least me especially, like admire that about you, where you have a goal in mind, you want to get to that goal, and you're gonna get there. And if that means saying no to a couple of hangouts or saying no to things, you are okay with doing that. So
Right.
I really like that about you.
Thank you.
And my question is like, was there ever a time where you kind of felt that you wanted to stop the YouTube channel, or you felt like you wanted to give up? And if
Mhm.
when you felt those things, like what kind of helped you keep pushing yourself?
Well, first, I just want to say I'm definitely not perfect because I definitely do lapse in my time management. That's actually something that I really want to improve moving forward. And I think because you work on this channel every single day, there are times that I do feel that I want to give up because sometimes, like if you think about it, the normal 9 to 5, you definitely have time off in the weekend. But for me, I actually have to keep on posting videos throughout the week, from Monday to Sunday. So I don't get any sort of break. Obviously, the freedom that I get from YouTube is amazing, but if you think about it, I need to be consistent every single day of the week. So at sometimes I do get burnt out from the topic of like making a video, doing research to developing the video itself, as well as working on editing. It does become repetitive. But what I truly do to combat that feeling is by looking at the results of what the videos are basically able to do. If you think about it, uh, screw the money aspect, but you're able to help other people. There's a lot of people wanting to learn about AI right now, and they want to use it to obviously increase their productivity and efficiency, whether that's in their job or for just personal use, or even if it's for like a business. These videos are definitely helping a lot of people. And whenever I see a comment or a message, it definitely makes my day because it's actually helping someone out. So for me, making a bigger impact is something that I really aspire to do for a broader audience. So it's something that keeps on motivating me whenever I'm like down or whenever I'm burnt out from making videos on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned a really good point there that I want to kind of touch on. And um, I mean, when we were younger, we used to like think about side hustles, right? We used to have like Shopify stores, and you still have them. Like I used to sell coffee beans and everything,
Right.
or like we had that marketing agency for that during COVID, where we try to
Yeah, I
grow that
remember.
and everything. And like what I learned from that experience, and what you kind of mentioned, is that if you're just so focused on the money aspect, you're gonna give up on these projects very easily, because you can probably like attest to this as well, is that when you're starting something new, you're actually losing money, not making money, because you're gonna spend time and money behind whatever editing software you need or things like that. Especially YouTube, you need to make sure that you have the resources and a mic and
Right.
stuff like that. So if you're so focused on the money, you will probably like phase out of the thing that you're doing. But what's driving you is focusing on the impact that you're having, right? I don't
Hmm.
think like one thing I just thought about like right now is like most people in their life, when they speak, they're not reaching an audience of 100K ever. Like that's a very very rare thing to do.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like 100K people listening to your content. And I think your YouTube channel has about like 8 million views or something like that overall, right? So like most people in their life, they're not touching these many individuals or these many lives, right? And you
Right.
have the opportunity to impact these many people. So that's something that's amazing. And like with that growth, like how did you kind of handle that growth versus like, slower periods? You probably have some downturns in your views, some increases and stuff. How do you kind of handle those growth spurts versus the slower periods?
Yeah, definitely. It's something that I had faced multiple times, obviously, in the last 2 years. And you're definitely going to have ups and downs. But if you're consistent throughout the journey, you're definitely going to be on an upward motion. And that's something that I actually realized over the past couple of months because my channel has been exponentially growing, and it's basically have like the views have been compounding as well as the subscribers, and obviously this is due to the constant push of videos on a daily basis. So the way I see it is that you want to look at the bigger picture because most of the times we tend to look at what's happening in our, like, not just for YouTube but for almost everything that we do. We tend to look at things on a smaller aspect where we focus on what's happening on a smaller time frame, and we don't really look at the bigger picture, and we tend to ignore the bigger picture because we're too focused on what's happening in the moment right now. And sometimes you want to take a step back, you want to think about what your true goals are and how you're going to be achieving them in the next few months. And that's what I tend to do because in our YouTube background or our dashboard, we have a lot of different algorithm stats that showcase how well the actual channel is performing. And you can basically view how the channel is performing on a monthly basis, a yearly basis, and whenever I tend to see a rough, I would say, time frame in the channel, I tend to look at the bigger picture, and you'll notice that there's ups and downs throughout the journey, and overall we have an upward trend. So that's like the main focus you want to see. So that really motivates me to keep pushing through the downtimes and making sure that I can even improve on those downtimes, making sure I can focus on better videos that people would like and something that could maybe make a better impact on people.
Yeah. And I think like these analytic dashboards, they're a blessing as well, they're a curse, right? Because if you're too
Yeah,
focused on the numbers sometimes, like especially like me, I'm starting off the podcast, when I look at the analytics for some episodes where I'm like, damn, this one, like no one really listened to, like no one really do that. If you get too focused on just those analytic dashboards, you're gonna kind of feel demotivated. You're gonna have a short time frame in your head, like, okay,
right.
this is not working. Well, obviously it's not working. You just started off, right? So like having that bigger picture mindset, I think it's a really great point to bring out to anyone that's listening to this who might be interested in starting a podcast or a YouTube channel or anything. Like nowadays it's so easy to have access to these things, but what's
100%.
yeah but what separates people apart is the one that stay consistent, like yourself, right? You stayed consistent for about 2 years, going into your third year now. So it's crazy to see that, posting a video a day, like I can, like, it takes me a while to think of content for podcasts, like, and that's what I do on a weekly basis. But
Yeah,
like,
it's tough.
it's tough, right? So what kind of daily habits have helped you post a video on a daily basis?
For me, like the habit that I have is that whenever I do my morning routine, I tend to work towards finding new topics to like potentially make a video on. Usually the night before, I also think about a couple of ideas that I can focus on for the next day. And there's obviously going to be a lot of new things popping off on Twitter about new AI releases, whether that's a new language model or it's a new chatbot. And essentially, you want to keep a couple of different news accounts on standby so that you can basically stay up to date with what's happening. And essentially, once I figure out a topic in the morning, I work towards drafting up like different ideas to make the videos on. And essentially, I really have a passion for doing what I do right now. So I always stay motivated to find something new that would be postable throughout the day.
Yeah, I think that's important, like as a passion aspect. Um, and like if you combine your passion with consistency, I think you kind of, that's the equation to great results, right? Because like
Right.
let's say if you're just consistent about something, but if you're not passionate, the quality suffers. But if you are passionate about something and not consistent, the quantity suffers, right?
Right.
Because then you're going to give up, you're not going to produce results and stuff. So combining those two things are really what I got from you. Because as I mentioned, like when I saw that first video that you posted on YouTube on Pokemon, I'm like, damn, this guy was meant to be a YouTuber. Like, he's been doing this since a young age. He has that passion for it. And then that drive, like posting a video on a daily basis and saying no to hangouts and stuff like that to make sure that it gets done. I'm like, okay, this guy's also consistent, so he's gonna do well, right? So like I gotta ask you, like you've been a big reason why I started the podcast, and I can't thank you enough. What kind of made you so confident that I could do this when I thought like AI wasn't something I could?
No, I'll just say at the end of the day, like I saw from how you tend to deal with a couple of like side hustles, you didn't really like focusing on the marketing agency. It's something that I know because I really worked with you, but I really saw your passion with like blog writing, talking to people. This is something that you really love to do. And I saw that maybe working on a podcast could really help you grow your passion as well as something that will make you have fun as you do something like this. And that's something that I really like was a reason why I really wanted to recommend maybe doing a podcast. And that brings me to a point where if you don't have a passion with what you're doing right now, you're not going to really enjoy it. So you want to try to strive towards finding a passion, whether that's exploring new hobbies or even just talking to someone. You can definitely learn to find a passion for something. And it doesn't necessarily have to correlate with making any sort of like being compensated for your passion. It could be something that you can do for fun because at the end of the day, money's just going to be there. You can easily achieve it with your regular job. It's just something that you can have to live your daily life, and something that you want to focus on more is the quality of your life through your passion.
Yeah. And I think most people listening to this episode, or like most people in North America, we kind of have the privilege to pursue our passions, because we either have a career that supports us financially, or we either have something that kind of makes ends meet. So necessary, like a lot of time, what I've kind of fallen into is like I want to pursue things for the monetary aspect, right? And that's why you kind of mentioned like the marketing agency. The reason why I didn't really stick with it, but is because like, yeah, I can make money from it, but like I wasn't passionate about it, so it didn't interest me. But
Right.
like, for example, this podcast, like I'm not making money from it, but the reason why I'm gonna continue doing it is because like I enjoy it, right? And I'm guessing it's the
Hmm.
same thing for you with YouTube. You weren't making money like the first couple of months, or even if you
Yeah.
were, there was just maybe like pennies or like a couple of dollars. All it could do with that is like buy you a coffee and stuff, but you continued with it because of that passion. So one thing
Hmm.
that I got from you and what I'm learning from you is that passion is important, but that's not where it ends. Passion plus consistency is the next step, I would say.
Right.
Yeah. So, like for those listening who might have an idea but are kind of scared to take the first step, what's your biggest piece of advice for them?
At like we talked about throughout the podcast, being consistent is the main thing. You might realize that you might have some sort of motivation on something, but if you're not consistent, that motivation doesn't truly matter because you're not going to work towards your goal. You're not going to be consistent on a daily basis. And the way I really think about it is that you want to reflect back on what you did throughout the end of the day. At nighttime, you want to think about what you really did. It could be anything. Like you want to basically reflect on yourself and you want to see what you can do better the next day. It could be on finding a job, it could be while you're working on a job with your relationship, or maybe it could be a side hustle. You want to try your best to improve on something you did wrong throughout the day. And essentially, that's something that helped me start the YouTube channel, helped me with my relationship, and helped me with a lot of different other things. So, being consistent, having a passion, and always reflecting on something that you can do to improve upon is definitely going to be your way to success. And that's something that I truly believe by. And I definitely recommend that you also have it attached with something like spirituality or even philosophy that could help you, because these are different resources that can elevate how you definitely think as a human. Because if you think about it, Stoicism, uh, by listening to Seneca or like the quotes by Seneca, as well as different lectures like by Michael Sergey, who talks about Meditations, which is a book by Marcus Aurelius, talking about different outputs, different philosophies from different poets, as well as different kings, Roman, I would say kings, as well as different people can definitely help you elevate your mindset. So using these resources that you have, talking to people can definitely help you on a day-to-day aspect. So definitely stay consistent and you're definitely going to be able to see success.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add to that is, who are you surrounding yourself with? I think I'm so grateful to have you and like all our friend group because I think that we are able to tap into like at the way I think of it, it's like a tag team. Like when you're down, you have someone you can rely on. When I'm
Right.
down, I can rely on you. We always have these conversations. We talk on a weekly basis. We have the opportunity to motivate each other, right? And one thing I love about our friendship is that we are not afraid about being real with each other, which I think is really important, right?
Hmm.
So if you see me slacking, you're not afraid to tell me like, "Hey, you need to focus on this or you're not doing this," right?
Right.
Which is important because a lot of times when people are if you are excited about something and if you're excited to start something, when you bring that up to the people around you, listen to how they react. Are they motivating you? Are they shutting you down? That will kind of tell you like the people you're surrounding yourself around, are they the right audience, right?
Right.
Because if we didn't have the support that we have from each other or like our friend group or our family, we wouldn't have started the things that we wanted to or pursued the things we wanted to, right? Because
Right.
just imagine like explaining to your parents like, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel. That's not something most parents are willing to just accept, right? But your
Yeah,
parents
definitely.
support you and everything. So um has there any other challenges or anything like that from society when you were pursuing this YouTube channel that you had to deal with?
Honestly, I'm really grateful for the friends that I have as well as my parents because they didn't really judge me. But at the back of your head, you're definitely going to be thinking, like, oh man, this guy's a YouTuber. He definitely doesn't have anything going his way. He's definitely resorting to that. And that's like what I talked about at the start of the podcast. It's how you control your mind or your thoughts. Because if you're going to let these thoughts come in, you're definitely not going to be happy and you're just going to overthink about these things, which is why you want to clear out these thoughts and realize that you want to understand what your passion is or your goal is to find your true strength. And at the end of the day, like for me, I definitely was scared at the start, but by pushing out these different sorts of thoughts, it helped me to keep doing what I really loved. Because at the end of the day, you can't really have people control your own outcome. You want to control who you are and be selfish with that.
Yeah, it's your life. All the good things that are going to happen, you have to work towards that. And all the bad things that are going to happen, you have to work towards that as well. So that's a good point that you mentioned. So now that you have reached 100K, if you're comfortable, what's next on your list of goals for the channel?
Definitely keep growing it. We're at such a small standpoint. We have such a long way to go. I want to keep on doing what I do right now, making more videos, making, I would say, more quality, better quality videos, and maybe even getting to a point where we can hit maybe like 10 million or even more. So it's definitely a goal that I have and I aspire to achieve one day. I also want to focus on obviously my health. I want to make sure I can spend more time with my friends and family. That is one thing that I don't actually do a lot. So, aside from the friends, I do chill with my friends a lot.
Yeah.
I chill way too much. You guys got to
Yeah.
get away from me.
Like
But
last night we were chilling. I mean, at least I went home at I got home at like 1:30 a.m. and like I don't know how long you guys chilled until.
I think we finished pretty early. But if you guys know our, I don't know, the amount of times we chill, you guys would be, your minds would blow up. But yeah, I definitely want to emphasize spending more time with my family because that's something that I really don't do. And I really think that if I'm able to do all of these small little things, it's going to be obviously helping me out in the long term. I'm going to be grateful for what I've done right now when I look back in like 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, balance is important, and obviously spending time with friends and family is essential. Are you considering expanding to other platforms or any other type of content?
That's something that I didn't really think about, but I would definitely love to maybe even live stream. Uh, Maybe live streaming on something like Rumble, Twitch, showcasing live demos, and that could be a way for me to maybe extend the platform further.
Yeah, we can become like Kai Cenat. Now we kind
Guys,
of. When's the face reveal?
I didn't really think about that too much.
I'm just playing. Any dream collaborations or projects?
I did really strive towards getting a real estate license around a year ago, and that is something that I really like doing as well. Like it's not something that I've done, but I do see myself working towards getting something like that. So it could be like an add-on benefit from me. But yeah, I guess that would be something cool to maybe get started with.
One creator you look up to.
Okay, he's not a creator, but
Mhm.
he's an athlete.
Okay.
LeBron James.
Okay. LeBron James. Okay, fair enough. If you guys don't know, Maimon is a big LeBron fan. So if you ever tried talking bad about LeBron in front of him, you might not be friends after that.
Yeah, you're not living.
Yeah. Oh, you're not living. You're gonna. Okay. Okay. Um, favorite video you've created?
It's actually all my videos are my favorite, but one of the ones that I really like is the one where I reached 100K. It's where I emphasized on my spiritual leader, who actually inspired me to keep pushing and helped me where I am at.
Yeah, that was a. I love that video, and like I love this shout out you gave as well. It kind of shows of the like the type of person you are. Even though you're reaching these goals and milestones, you're still remaining humble, and that is a reflection of our leader. So I think that's a good point.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Your go-to comfort activity when taking a break from YouTube.
Walking is actually something that I love to do. Going for a stroll, maybe 5 kilometers, is something that me and my friend, my neighborhood friend, do like once or twice a week in summer.
That's it. And last question: the most underrated part of being a content.
The freedom is the best thing. I can wake up whenever I want. I can do whatever I want. So it's definitely a great thing, and I'm really grateful for it. Obviously,
Yeah, those are all the questions I had today. Anything you want to add? Anything you want to plug, or anything you want to let people know?
uh, I definitely want to say that I thank you so much, Up, for always being there for me. You actually were one of the main reasons why I achieved such a crazy milestone. You've been always there to help me out. This guy's a stud, guys. Make sure you keep on supporting him. He has been there from the start. He always encouraged me. He didn't let me go down a loophole. He made sure that I was consistent. He always kept me in the right place, and I can't be I'm eternally grateful for what you've done for me, Job, as well as all of our other friends. And I definitely see this podcast becoming a really great thing where you get a lot more viewers as you're more consistent with this. So I definitely have huge hopes for the podcast. And thank you guys so much for actually listening through. If there's any question, you can definitely reach out to Job. Maybe you can put me with you and we can get in contact so I can help you out.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And like, I will literally take whatever you say and repeat the same thing because it goes both ways. I feel the same for you, and I feel the same about, you motivating me to start that podcast and everything. But yeah, that's it for today's episode of The Ordinary. I hope you found Maiman's journey as inspiring as I did. It's a reminder that success doesn't happen overnight. It is the result of consistency, passion, and pushing through challenges, even when things get tough. I've personally taken so much from this conversation, and it's made me reflect on why I started the podcast. If you're someone sitting on an idea, just know that even a small steps can take you far. Maiman is a proof of that. Be sure to check his YouTube channel and give him a follow. You won't regret it. Thank you for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to leave a review or share it with someone who needs that extra push. I'll catch you next time on The Ordinary.